my friends. I'm Andrea, and welcome to another update on the astro influences on the financial markets. I would like to start with a general overview of what are the important aspects to come. I filmed this on April 18th when we are in pretty turmoil after the war news and the reaction that was pretty swift on the markets. And I would like then to talk about a macro global view and the outlook for the next month roughly, and then about Bitcoin, Ethereum, and altcoins in general. So stay tuned for that. I will do the first part for everybody, and the other parts will be for the members. Without further ado, I would like to start with the general view on the markets and also the general statement that we had, I think, a few astrologers about the fact that there is a lot of bullish influence, and Uranus-Jupiter conjunction, which is still ahead of us on April 20th, 21st, depending where you are in the world. It will be active for at least, May 2025, I see, so roughly 1 year, because Uranus has a huge orb of influence. I would say it goes even beyond, but I think it's too long to think about that. And this conjunction will also activate the Bitcoin chart, I would say still in a positive way. So regardless of the global situation, I do think that we should expect some recovery. I would be very surprised if this doesn't happen. And I refer to the next week, basically in April from the 22nd, especially until the 28th, because this is the period that we cover. Another important aspect at global level in the markets will be April 25th. Again, this Lilith with adventure and risk appetite is involved, but this time it's with Jupiter. So Jupiter will trine it. If you look at the Bitcoin chart for the 1 day, so the 1 day chart, you can see from the history of this month that on the 12th of April, we had this Uranus trine Lilith and it went up. So we had a 71K target, and also we got before, as you know, from the eclipse from 8th of April, we got a 72, so over 72K as a target for BTC. But all these big targets that are achieved are unfortunately in this climate of volatility not really sustainable. And yes, other shit happens as well with the Saturn-Mars conjunction, and I would say that I do not see the evolution of this really escalating to a more wider context. I don't want to say worldwide, because we don't have support from Pluto. And if we look at the same transit, which happened 84 years ago with Uranus crossing Algol mainly, which will happen on 11th of May, so quite soon, it happened during the Second World War. And at that time, we had also support from Pluto, so to speak, because this Saturn-Mars conjunction, you can put the blame on this, but it happens each 2 years. So this will really be something that will not really signify an event. Yes, it's such an event, at least. In my opinion, it really escalates in conflicts, and it is, yes, a bad conjunction to have, but it's not something that is very rare. While Uranus on Algol is another story. And still, if we talk about Pluto, which is the rule of Scorpio, this is very relevant for the next time frame, because next week we have the full moon in Scorpio, and this is ruled by Pluto. And I would like to dive into that. I will share my screen, and this is for everybody as information, about our expectation in terms of global environment. global influence in the markets, because as you see, finally the result will be a mix of all of them. So what happens globally, things that are not related will be really, seen in context it's very easy to say afterwards, but basically what I could see, I have seen that was the turmoil on the S&P 500, which again, it's not so volatile, but you see that there are some drops there already. So this was shown in the astro, which really brought me to think about some kind of black swan global event at market level in the beginning of April that I warned about in the end of March. But still, you cannot be 100% sure. You cannot predict all the wars, the conflicts, and the situation in the markets. But now let's go into the full moon in Scorpio, and let's see what this has for us. I will analyze it from a tropical and sidereal perspective. Yes, we do have the chart for London, so ignore the ascendant. But it's important to look at the cluster of planets and at their interpretation and significance, and I would like to go into that. So we have the Scorpio full moon. Scorpio is tropical, so I would start with the tropical landscape here. And this happens on April 23rd, a bit before midnight UTC time zone at around 4 degrees of Scorpio. And this is basically the next day, if we think about going, to the east, so to speak. And this is a culmination of the moon cycle, and it will be very intense because Scorpio is the most intense sign of the zodiac. And as you know, the moon rules the BTC chart. This is I believe the opinion of both Western and Vedic astrologers. So this means that we will have some important events happening, and it looks like this. As you see, we do have this water element very emphasized, and together with the Uranus-Jupiter conjunction in the tropical Taurus, and here you can see that Mars is at 039 of Pisces. This is sidereal. This shows this flood, and water-related issues that we saw. Of course, Mercury retrograde doesn't help, but I would say that Mars is the cause of this. Now we will have a debilitated moon in Scorpio with this, basis of being rebellious. Why? Because the moon is in the Swati constellation, in the Swati nakshatra, in the second pada, in the fixed zodiac. And this is about being independent. So it's a cry for independence, but with very intense mass psychology and mass emotions, I would say, because we have this Pluto strongly activated. Not only the fact that this is ruled by, the moon is really ruled by Pluto, the whole full moon phase right now. And it will be valid also for the next 2 weeks, I would say, roughly until the next new moon. And we have actually Pluto going stationary retrograde. So good luck. This would be very intense in terms of people's sentiments. And yes, this will influence the markets for good or bad. And this is also the time when we will experience, the going back of Pluto into Capricorn for the last time in our lives. So this doesn't happen right now, but it's this preparation to retrograde, to go back from Aquarius into Capricorn again, and it will stay there at the anaretic degree of 29, which is really not very auspicious. We will see that in autumn, but we have time until then. What is critical now is the fact that the mass psychology will be very important in driving the markets. And Pluto is also a symbol about big money, about funds, about ETFs, about regulation at the level of financial markets that is beyond the retail action, so to speak. So I think something important can come in that regard. It's also about regulation. It's about things that are prepared behind the scenes and will be revealed when Pluto will go direct. So we will have some months of very intense emotions, I would say, quite turmoil, especially now, and we will have a bit to endure also at the beginning of May, but we will talk about this later in subsequent updates in the next weeks. You see also here, this is seen in sidereal actually, that Venus is at the anaretic degree of Pisces. So at the end of the zodiac at 29 degrees and 2 minutes of Pisces. And Venus is exalted in Pisces, but it shows again an end and then a beginning, a new beginning would come into these financial markets. And we had here Pisces strongly activated with the eclipse, with Mercury going retrograde on the stars of wealth, and this is still the case. Venus is in the stars of wealth of the Revati Nakshatra. I mentioned that it could be that wealth flows in another direction, so wealth changes the hand. And yes, with this panic selling, we can imagine that if there are, very organized strategies for buying, then of course, if liquidity is present, then we can get such a shift as mentioned. So I would say that markets are still in a lot of focus, and Mercury is here close in a stellium together with Rahu and with Mars in the sidereal Pisces at this full moon. So this shows the fact that we will get intense feelings. We will get also enhanced trading, I would say. This can happen as well because Mercury will really stop soon, and it will go direct on the 25th. But until the 23rd, I think some movements will happen in the market, and I think it's also possible that we will get more buys, and the monthly closing is coming, the halving is coming. So this is all a constellation of complex situation in the market, and we will get a recovery, in my opinion, still, even if this is a bit delayed. So 25th looks quite promising in terms of aspects. Jupiter will trine Lilith, and the Uranus-Jupiter conjunction is quite strong in the global chart, for the markets, and it will influence the price action in general. We have also Sun together with Jupiter in sidereal in Aries. It's quite a wide conjunction, as you see, but we have this as a hallmark for going full speed, to have really a setup for new speed, new developments, due to the fact that both of them are in Aries, which is the first sign. So it's the catalyst of the new beginning. We had this, important cycle really starting for crypto and for markets, and this will be really valid, especially after the full moon in Scorpio. Now we do have also Saturn pretty alone in Aquarius, but this shows a very strong Saturn, and we had the Saturn-Mars conjunction. Mars is now out of sign in this constellation of the full moon, as you can see, and this also shows the fact that we will get this conjunction less stronger, because this was also one of the main triggers for the drop, I would say, not only from the war perspective, but also from the fact that Saturn would diminish prices. Mars is about the price action, so it's about a strong negative price action, in other words. Now, the fact that Mars leaves the sign, and we see that in the full moon related setup, so to speak, then we can say that the negative effects of the conjunction will be less and less, and this will take it will make place for the positive aspects to really unfold. And I talk about the end of April. I don't talk about May yet. So we will come up with updates in May as well. I mentioned this because this full moon will have effects in 2 weeks, so to speak. So in a span of 2 weeks roughly, and we will feel it strongly next week, but it will be valid also in the week coming after. Now, I would like to say that unfortunately, the fact that Pluto goes stationary will also make things harder to predict, I would say, because we will have this, question mark. Does it move? It doesn't really move. So we will need to see what happens in this day of the full moon, which is one of the most important events of the week, together with this Jupiter trine Lilith. And again, this was a peak last time on the 12th with Uranus. But Jupiter is another energy. It's much more consistent and stable in general, and this also happens after the Uranus-Jupiter conjunction. In other words, to wrap up, I would expect continuous volatility. Mass psychology will play a big role in the price action, and the effects of the Saturn-Mars conjunction should be less. Mercury retrograde will also disappear after the 25th, but we will get very interesting days of change around the 25th, I would say, because we have Mercury and Pluto both stationary, and this will really show us how the things change. So the wind of change will come at that moment in time. On the 29th of April, we have also a Mars-Neptune conjunction, which is not great at all. And this will also diminish the pace of the price action, in my opinion, but it's still a negative one. It can lead people into illusion and make moves that are not so well thought, based on some rumors or opinions that are not really supported by a solid foundation. That would be what I had to say here, and I think it's the best to have patience here, and the positive aspects are there. I don't think they can be vanished by something else, and being really cautious about a longer orb of influence, this will manifest in the crypto summer that is still ahead. I think the bull market is still here to stay. Thank you for your attention, for liking and subscribing, and until next time, be joyful. And now I would like to continue with the other parts that I announced. See you.